Signs of childhood trauma in adults. If you experienced trauma as a child, it's likely that you are or have experienced some amount of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, later in life. This video explains what trauma is, what childhood abuse may look like, and how childhood trauma impacts adulthood. What is childhood trauma? Trauma in childhood not only constitutes physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, but exposure to traumatic events as well. These traumatic events could be when children witness natural disasters, or even when they witness violence within their communities. Signs of PTSD in children. After exposure to any traumatic event, kids tend to express some form of behavioral change. These behaviors are still regularly reported by mental health professionals in their daily practices with adults. These behavioral changes could include sudden new fears. These fears may or may not be related to the traumatic event. Separation anxiety occurs when a child becomes overwhelmed with anxiety if their parents are not around. Sleep disturbances. This could mean that they start having nightmares or lose the ability to fall asleep quickly. Sadness. If you notice that you or a loved one is feeling down much more often, it may be a sign that they're coping with a traumatic event. Losing interest in normal activities. A child may lose interest in things they once enjoyed. Inability to concentrate. This could be long or short-term and impact things like school, work, or normal activities. Anger, unexplained anger, or irritability that doesn't match up to the level of the event, can be a sign of a traumatic event. Somatic complaints. These can include stomach aches, headaches, or any other physical pains that seem to have no root cause. While kids may heal, between 3% and 15% of girls and 1% to 6% of boys will develop PTSD. In general, if any of the symptoms listed above appear for longer periods of time, it may be time to consider seeking a therapist that focuses on the treatment of PTSD. In addition to those symptoms, children who are experiencing PTSD may also exhibit hypervigilance in an effort to look for warning signs to prevent future traumas. Children suffering from PTSD may also re-experience the trauma or avoid things that may remind them or cause them to remember the trauma. Signs of childhood trauma in adults. The effects of childhood trauma can last well into adulthood. Trauma can impact future relationships and lead to other issues like depression and low self-esteem. Other signs of childhood trauma in adults. Exposure to traumatic events can also cause poor self-esteem, depression, self-destructive behavior, and even difficulty trusting others. This can become especially problematic with age, as PTSD and traumatic events from childhood can actually result in adverse health effects in adulthood. The higher likelihood of developing chronic illness is potentially due to the fact that adults who experience trauma as children are more likely to engage in high-risk activities like smoking. This podcast also explained that doctors are researching the possibility that understanding someone's past and their relation to trauma can lead to better treatment that could help in the prevention of these diseases and symptoms. It's even possible that these traumas impacted the brain in a specific way. Recognizing how the brain has been impacted could lead to advancements in treatment when it comes to therapy and medical intervention.